Palm Springs and Indian Wells are two very different cities, and not knowing these things in this video can mean a huge difference if you're planning on buying a home or moving to Palm Springs or Indian Wells. My name is Tommy Jordan and I'm your Palm Springs area real estate agent. In this video, I'm going to break the differences down by a few different categories so that you can get a feel for what it's like to actually live in each city. Now, the first thing we need to discuss is the shopping experience, and Palm Springs and Indian Wells are night and day when it comes to the shopping. Palm Springs has a downtown shopping area on Palm Canyon Drive right here, you can see on this map, with a ton of shops. I mean, they have everything from furniture stores like West Elm to boutique clothing stores like Trina Turk, and even delicious toffee from local toffee place Brandini. It's pretty good. You got to try their ice cream as well. I mean, you could spend multiple days shopping and dining in Palm Springs and never get bored. On the other hand, Indian Wells shopping and dining is sort of non-existent. Indian Wells doesn't have a lot of shopping. I mean, they have a few things you're seeing right here. There's a little shopping center in Indian Wells, and they have a great restaurant called Eureka, a great coffee shop, IW, and a Mexican restaurant. But overall, the shopping and dining really pales in comparison to a city like Palm Springs. Now, the nice thing about Indian Wells is it is centrally located due Palm Desert, shopping and dining on El Paseo. And you can see right here, it's only 8 minutes away, 3 miles. So even though you don't have a lot of shopping and dining right there in Indian Wells, you know, Palm Desert has tons of shopping and dining, and it's really close by. And also you're close by La Quinta. Let me show you. Here's the map right here, and you could see from Indian Wells to Old Town La Quinta. And if you've never been to Old Town La Quinta, you should check it out. They have some really awesome restaurants like Roadrunner. And look, it's an 11-minute drive, only 6 miles, so not far at all. But there's also more shopping in La Quinta. So here's a map showing Indian Wells to Target. And La Quinta has a lot of big box kind of stores. So that right there is only an 8-minute drive. So being in Indian Wells, it's a little different than Palm Springs, where you have a lot of shopping nearby. And then if you're living in Palm Springs, the shopping is like right in your backyard. So, you know, those are some of the differences with the shopping and dining. That leads me to my next point. Indian Wells has a more quiet, kind of suburban feel compared to Palm Springs. Indian Wells is a small city with only a few thousand residents. I mean, the population of Indian Wells is 5,463 people. Now you compare that to Palm Springs at 48,000 people, and that's a huge difference. And you could really tell when you are in both cities. I mean, if you're looking for more of that hustle and bustle kind of lifestyle, Palm Springs is definitely more the place for you. I mean, Palm Springs always has a party or something fun going on, and living in Indian Wells, you're nearby all the fun, but like I said, it's not really right in your backyard. So it depends what you're looking for. If you are looking for more peace and quiet, then Indian Wells is probably going to be the place for you. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is walkability. I mean, if we compare Indian Wells on a map to Palm Springs, you can see that, you know, if you live near downtown Palm Springs, everything is really walkable or bikeable. Bikeable is even a word. Now, Indian Wells, you can certainly walk around the city, and a lot of people do that because it's just so pretty. But there's less to walk to, and I would rate Palm Springs having higher walkability overall because you just have more access to shopping and dining than you would living in Indian Wells. And if you're in Indian Wells, most likely you would take a car to the shops at El Paseo or maybe go to the river and Rancho Mirage. So, you know, if you're looking for more walkable city where you just live right there where the shops are, where the dining is, you're most likely going to want to be in Palm Springs. Let's talk about the demographics of both cities. I mean, Palm Springs and Indian Wells both have people older and younger from all walks of life. I mean, Palm Springs is known for its LGBT community more so than the Indian Wells, and I would say that overall Indian Wells has probably more of a snowbird kind of feel than Palm Springs, and the reason being is Indian Wells has a higher percentage of second homeowners than Palm Springs. I mean, don't get me wrong, Palm Springs has a lot of second homes, but most are actually vacation rentals. And in Indian Wells, they don't allow short-term rentals like Palm Springs. And we're going to get into that into the next point. But Indian Wells is known for its high-end gated communities like the Vintage or Desert Horizons Country Club. With golf courses and that sort of country club lifestyle, people come to Indian Wells to not be seen and just to relax. And on the other hand, Palm Springs always has a fun event or party going on. Palm Springs has just a younger vibe and feel in comparison, I would say, to Indian Wells. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can do it right here for weekly videos on the Palm Springs area. That leads us to our next point. We need to talk about short-term rentals. So the city of Indian Wells does not allow short-term rentals. So there's a caveat to this, is Indian Wells allows you to rent out your house for 2 weeks out of the year for the tennis tournament. But Palm Springs, on the other hand, they allow you to do short-term rental all year long to your heart's desires. So if you're relying on rental income to help you with the carrying cost of purchasing a second home, then Palm Springs would probably be the place for you. I mean, it would be a lot harder in Indian Wells because you'd have to rent for over 30 days, or actually over 29 days. And usually short-term rentals, they make a lot more overall compared to renting out your home for 30 days or more. So this also changes the vibe of the city a lot, because some people get annoyed in Palm Springs because some of their neighbors might be renting their house out weekly or, every few nights. And Palm Springs, I know they've made a lot of rules about this to make short-term rentals more strict, and you can't have loud music playing, or wild parties at night. But, living in Indian Wells, it's going to feel more like a tight-knit kind of community with more primary residents, because people, whether they're snowbirds and they're staying there a few months of the year, or if they're retired living there full time, or just working and living here, they're living there day in and day out. Where Palm Springs, some of these communities, people are sort of coming and going more because of the short-term rentals, because that's allowed. So that's a big difference, just looking at the neighborhoods, the housing situation between the two cities. The next major difference is housing for Palm Springs and Indian Wells. So most of Palm Springs is actually in non-gated neighborhoods. And if you look at Indian Wells, a lot of Indian Wells is high-end gated country clubs. Indian Wells is known for Indian Wells Country Club, Desert Horizons, the Vintage Country Club, and just so many others. People who come to Indian Wells, they want that 5-star lifestyle with access to high-end fitness centers, clubhouses, spas, and homes on the golf course. With that country club lifestyle comes the more expensive HOAs, and they could be up to $1,200 per month and even more depending on if you get a social membership and a golf membership. It's all sort of a la carte. Now, Palm Springs doesn't have a lot of expensive HOAs, and most of the time you're dealing with just a land lease that could be a few $100 a month. So that's a huge difference between the two cities. Palm Springs is also known for its amazing mid-century architecture. I mean, if you love that mid-century modern feel, then Palm Springs will have a lot more options for you than Indian Wells. Indian Wells is more of a Spanish and traditional style architecture. Indian Wells does have some mid-century, but overall, it's more of a mix than Palm Springs. And also, if you're interested in non-gated areas in Indian Wells, those are available. I mean, they do have non-gated areas, but it's going to be more HOAs and country clubs. And if you're actually thinking about moving to the Palm Springs area, shameless plug, I'm a real estate agent. My contact information is below. I would love to help you out. Right here, you can see from the Desert Housing Report, the average price for detached homes in Indian Wells. Indian Wells, it's $1.9 million for the average home. Palm Springs, on the other hand, is $1.4 million, which still isn't cheap, but it's about, $500,000 cheaper to live in Palm Springs for the average price home. If you look at attached homes right here, you could see, let's find Palm Springs. Palm Springs is $469,000 for a condo or townhome. Indian Wells is $650,000. Now, both cities have very high-end homes or more affordable homes, but overall, Indian Wells has always been the most expensive city price per square foot in the Coachella Valley. And that's, if you don't know what the Coachella Valley is, it's what I like to call the Palm Springs area. Coachella Valley is for the locals. So now you're local. Indian Wells is just a more expensive city. And like I said earlier, most of the homes are actually second homes with the residents owning the home without having the option to even rent them out on a short-term basis. So they're people who could afford the carrying cost of a $1.9 million home, without even renting it out. So if you're looking for more affordable options, I would say Palm Springs will definitely have more options for you. But if you want to be real bougie, Indian Wells has a lot of options for you as well. Now, if you want to learn more about how Palm Springs is different from another city, then check out this playlist right here. It's going to really help you out learning the Palm Springs area. And if you're thinking about moving to the area, please reach out to me below. My contact information's right there. I'm talking so fast. Thank you for watching.